People of America, a monster walks among you. Now I'll show it to you.
No, Gary.
Get out of the way!
Don't do this, Gary.
Get out of the way!
Put down the rifle.
There. Look at it! Look at it! See?
You have a great book, a great video called Wacky Conspiracy Theories, in which you refer to a document called Operation Northwoods, which can be found in this book. It is a verified document. It's in one of these chapters by Jesse Ventura's book, in which you talk about what Operation Northwoods was. Are conspiracies important to focus on, and what conspiracies that have been proven do you believe are important for people to know about?
I intentionally avoid talking about conspiracy theories a lot of the time, and it isn't because I don't think there aren't a zillion actual evil conspiracies out there. It's because, to me, that's actually a distraction from the underlying principles that matter, because bickering about whether this or that administration did this or that nasty thing, while I think it's good for people to know that stuff and look into it, for a lot of people, that's a reason to not get into the philosophy of what they're actually advocating. Because if you can blame one administration or one group, but without threatening the belief of authority entirely, then the solution of most people is, well, that's why we need a different guy on the throne. And unless you're going for the underlying problem, unless you're striking at the root, as it were, of authoritarian entirely, pointing out the evils of one particular authoritarian gang doesn't actually make people question the whole game. At the same time, I like it when people learn the true nature of government. The reason I bring up Operation Northwoods is it's not debatable anymore. It's declassified. You can get it on the government's own archives, that it was the U.S. military, the top brass, all of them signing off on committing terrorism and doing a false flag to blame Cuba to start a war intentionally, including terrorism in the U.S. So it's the top brass at the Pentagon, which apparently probably even JFK himself said, I don't want to do that. And that's the only reason it didn't happen. They all signed off on it, and it's in this memo, and it gives a really good insight into what power-happy sociopaths actually think and the way they function. And that's why I do actually mention that one a bunch, for people to say, we need the military to protect us. They're out there protecting us. Take a glimpse at what is actually in the minds, what these people, how they function and how they actually think, and read that. To me, the plot isn't even the most useful thing for people to know, that, because people can say, well, they didn't do that one. Yeah, but look at how they talked about it. Look how they talked about carrying out terrorism against Americans in America to start an unjustified war. If anyone can read Operation Northwoods and then go, yeah, but because of 9/11, we have to go be at war. Like, how duped can you possibly be when you get a glimpse into the mindset of truly evil psychopaths that will literally commit murder just as an excuse to commit more murder, to create a war out of nothing, and still say, well, but today we can trust them for some reason. So I think, just as a reality dose to get people to realize, this is the kind of people that government attracts. This is the people who gravitate towards positions of authority. And that's who you're looking to protect you, is psychos and murderers and terrorists. But still, I don't usually focus on that, because I want people to question the underlying assumption, not just that regime was bad or that president did bad things, but that government is inherently immoral and illegitimate.
It's so much more productive to do that.
Hello friends, James Corbett, enjoying a nice sunny day here in the sunny climes of Western Japan, and I'm sure my audience doesn't need to be reminded about this, but just for any newbies out there, of course we know that the dreaded conspiracy theorist label, oh, the worst thing you can be called, you're a conspiracy theorist, was not invented by the CIA. That's a straw man that's sometimes used to debunk this idea, but was popularized by the CIA through its agents in the Operation Mockingbird program in the American media as a result of their 1967 memo, CIA document 1035-960. If you haven't seen it, I will of course put the link in the show notes so you can go and see it directly for yourself, where they talk about countering criticism of the Warren Report and people who dare to believe that perhaps Lee Harvey Oswald wasn't the lone nut that we were told he was. Well, one of the ways that they suggest countering such criticism is to label the crackpots who deride that notion as conspiracy theorists. They do use that term in the document. And lo and behold, yes, the conspiracy theorist term was employed in the media with increasing frequency from that point. I wonder why. Well, as I say, I'm sure most of my regular audience already knows that story, so I got an interesting little thought experiment in recently via email from Jacob? I actually don't remember the name, so Jacob, or whoever you are, I'm very sorry if I got your name wrong, but I did appreciate the thought experiment, which was basically along these lines. We all know that conspiracy, of course, is an actual crime. Conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to launder money, conspiracy to commit bank robbery, whatever. People are actually charged with and convicted of the crime of conspiracy every single day. But so technically speaking, any police detective that's looking for unnamed or unknown associates of the person who they have in custody is a conspiracy theorist. He's theorizing that there may have been a conspiracy. I mean, so it is really ridiculous to use this as some sort of pejorative label. Well, let's imagine if we applied that in another context. What if there was something like burglary theorist? What if in the 1960s the CIA or whatever deep state agency had decided to make burglary theorist the term that they would implant in the media? And thereby, over the course of, half a century of conditioning, people would be scared to even talk about burglary or their thoughts on the possibility that burglary exists. You might go back to your home one day and find all the windows smashed and all the valuables have been taken, the whole place has been ransacked. And you turn to your friend and you say, I think there was a burglary here. And your friend, oh, you burglary theorist, what are you talking about? Or we might imagine the nightly news broadcast where they come on and say, very strange phenomenon sweeping across Main Street last night. A number of shops had their windows broken in and money was missing from the cash registers. The police say they have no idea what happened, but there's already a number of burglary theories popping up online. I mean, insert your own joke here. We could see quite easily how stupid such an idea, such a system would be. And of course, who would benefit from that? The burglars. Of course. People who commit burglary would love if burglary theorist was some pejorative phrase and no one wants to talk about burglary. Of course. So who does it benefit that conspiracy theory is this big thought crime and you can't dare broach the subject? People who conspire, which really happens and people are really convicted for, but still don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. Do you see how this works? I think that's a great little thought experiment. So my thanks to Jacob, for sending that idea in. And, I think we should start using it, maybe flipping the tables on people who use conspiracy theorist as a pejorative. Yeah, well, you're a burglary theorist. Anyway, just thought I'd share that with you. As always, thank you guys for the support. Talk to you again soon.
If we could have a one world something or another that would be kind of like this country.
Workable and viable. Yeah,
that'd be all right. But
you've
done a lot of travel. You've been to Russia, I bet. You've been to China. I've been to both those places fairly recently.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, they'd have shot you a long time ago.
Listen, this is the best thing we've come up with. I admit that. It's a grudging admittance because I like having my little attitudes, But I'm not dishonest. And this is the best we've done, the best we've come up with. I just wish that the ability to refine it and to make it better were more viable, were more available to us. It seems as though there are a lot of, and a lot of it is that money, that political money, the interest that control things, and that's the way it is. When they talk about conspiracies, and one of the things I enjoy on your show is when people talk about the government, and I'm talking about your guests who talk about whether or not the government and certain agencies and certain aspects of government have covered things up. And I have thought for a long time, not always obviously, but that, they tried to make it so that the belief in a conspiracy makes you somehow outside the norm, that you're a kook, that you're a conspiracy buff. They say he's a conspiracy buff.
George, they lie their asses off.
I know it, and I wrote a little something out, and I want to read it to you, because I pulled this paper up from the other room. I have some notes I haven't filed yet. And I said, well, if this comes up, I'd like to be able to say this to Art. So let me just read this to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it goes like this. Do I believe in conspiracies? Nah. Do I believe powerful people would get together and plan for certain outcomes? Nah. Do I believe powerful interests would operate outside the law and maybe even kill people? Nah. Do I believe secret government agencies might feel the need to assassinate a person and cover it up? Nah. I think everything in America is open and clean and above board, and powerful people always play by the rules. That's my thought.
Yeah, well, you should have been on my government agent.
This is how you get into conspiracy. It's like you think you found the holy grail of truth that no one really knows, right? So you get all excited and you want everyone to know. Then you realize, hey, no, this is a world of also half lies, half truths, disinformation, right? There's also stuff coming in from the very thing you think you've discovered that it's against, right? So then you just have to step back and critically think and just go, okay, take everything on board in a sense of just look at it in a non-biased perspective and just look at it and then see if it makes any sense by doing more research on the research you've done. So you have to put your own research in.
Yeah, but do you remember Noel Faulkner in London?
Yeah.
What was the club he owned?
Comedy Cafe.
Yeah, Comedy Cafe in Shoreditch, which has since closed. He was having a big mental funk a few years ago. I remember he was telling me that he was just too engaged in watching conspiracy theory videos on YouTube, and one video led to another, and then just
next minute you can get down a zillion rabbit holes and start to get nuts, and then it can get out. Oh, it happened to me for a while. Like, it didn't drive me nuts, but you realise that it takes over your thinking. Right? So that's when you step back and go, all right, hang on, just relax on it.
I mean, some conspiracy theories are fun. I personally.
Well, some people also conspiracy theory.
Putin has a video of Donald Trump encouraging Russian prostitutes to drink water and pee on the bed at the Ritz-Carlton. I mean, that's one of the ones that keeps me cheerful and hopeful. As bad as things are in the world, and then other ones.
And plus some conspiracy theory is a great term that they made up. I think they invented it after the JFK assassination, when people just didn't believe
the government obviously was lying to them. And so if they're capable of that.
The word conspiracy theory, I think, was invented by the government, or whoever it is that runs your country these days, the deep state, shadow government. But
whoever's got that video of Trump with the Russians.
But no, it can drive people nuts. Oh, because I've met, I've met hardcore conspiracy theorists. Hardcore.
So what do you mean by hardcore?
Oh, it possesses every single thought that every single thing they see is a conspiracy.
Why?
They go that nuts. Like like someone on the X-Files that lives in a caravan. And
you've teetered on that edge.
No,
not really everything.
No, not everything. But I've teetered on the edge, but
in a comical.
Yeah.
I've always found it amusing.
I had a comedy. I had a way to turn it into comedy, into jokes. But there's certain things I completely still hold true. I did anti-PC material years ago, and everyone thought I was a conspiracy theorist. I was going, no. This is like intellectual colonialism, man. They're going to start. They can bend this into thought crime. They can bend this into so that they break down all functions of society, turn all society into this kind of subjective postmodernist sort of soup where no one's allowed to say anything because someone gets offended, which leads into this and that, and that's
where we're heading.
That's a dangerous world,
Everybody's touchy about everything.
Yeah, and that you can't have that, and it's happening. And I told them 10 years ago, and did comedy about it, and I didn't. And people go, Steve's a bit nuts. I'm going, well, you're all watching it now, aren't you? Because you're watching these 20-year-old SJWs who have, come of age, the harvest from the children of the damned, as I call them. They've all come through school governed by political correctness, pumped full of Ritalin, And now they're all running around with green hair and Doc Martens and neck tattoos thinking they're nonconformist while they're wasting their youth trying to be activists for groups that they've never even met, who they didn't ask to be the spokespeople for these apparent minorities who are oppressed by, well, everyone's a minority of these people except white, straight men, because they live under a colonialist, patriarchal, Christian, paedophile system that has just oppressed everyone in the world. And so white cisgendered males, as they now call us, should all just shut up while everybody else who's a minority gets brought up into this form of equality based around collectivism and no one ever being offended again. And I'm like, well, excuse me, you people are insane. This isn't going to work. What are you talking about? What are your utopia of some kind of a global equality it's an illusion. What are you talking about?
I used to think it was possible.
No, it isn't. You don't want it to be possible. It's not possible. What are you talking about?
Well, what I like about you is you always turn your problems and your angst into comedy.
Yeah, well, we've got to make a joke about it. And at the end of the day, as a comedian, because I'm not a political activist, I'm not an intellectual, I'm not an academic, I'm not a master of the understandings of the complexities of communism or fascism or Marxism, because I'll come back and go, well, Marxism isn't really like Stevens like this. I'm just a guy who wanted to be an Iron Maiden and then did comedy, right? But because I like comedy, I'm going to protect, till my fucking death, the right to be able to say what you want and make people laugh. Because, the fact I wrote that silly crap joke about Clementine Ford, which is just a pun, it's just a joke. It's not a great joke. It's just a little pun. And you're spazzing out. And if you want to get rid of having a sense of humour to people, because you want everyone to be equal, but they're not allowed to be included in jokes.
We're no longer allowed to laugh.
So you can't make jokes about black people or Muslims or cripples or I can't call them cripples anymore, can I? No, the disabled. Why? But you want them all included. Yes, but don't make jokes. Because they've equated all jokes with ridicule. And it's not ridicule. Jokes aren't always ridicule. Jokes are jokes. It's hard to live on the earth. However human beings got to this planet, I think someone said, it's fucking going to be tough down there. Right, they're going to cry. I'd give them tears and laughter if I was you. Why? For a relief. You've done gigs all around the world like me. Where do you meet the best people in audiences? Belfast, Croatia.
Shitty places. Yeah.
People who have seen suffering.
Yeah.
Right?
They're the best. They laugh the hardest.
They laugh the hardest.
People in the poorest countries have a better sense of humor. You go to China or Thailand or Indonesia and you walk around and you hear more laughter and joviality just in everyday life from people.
Why? Because they've seen hardship.
Less seriousness. They're not connected to the system.
Yeah. You have to laugh in the face of terror. That's what laughter's for, to protect you from going insane, from the hardship that is being a human being on the earth. It's hard. And I don't just mean hard, it's hard for you as it's did with your white privilege running around and it's hard still psychologically for us. In fact, it's getting harder psychologically in the West than for people in third world countries. There's people in the West now moving to third world countries. Why? Because they don't want to pay $7,000 million a week rent. And they're sick of paying electricity bills and gas bills and tolls, and there's more tolls, and now there's road tax, and now there's hate speech, and now there's this tax, and now there's no smoking tax, and the cigarettes are $50 a packet, and you better have life insurance and health insurance, and we've got to get on their medication, and the water's full of poison and fluoride, and we've got GMO foods, and you better have a bank account, but it's going to go cashless. Yeah, wait till it's cashless when you haven't got any cash. They don't understand. You're all fighting about this bullshit and they're trapping you into a matrix, a digitalized, cashless, global, centralized fucking matrix. How? Well, by just destroying the West. You've got to destroy the West first. Why? Because if you want a one world government, you've got to get rid of the rich and educated bit. We can deal with the poor bits that we've fucked up hundreds of years ago, ages ago. Oh, who fucked it up, Steve? I thought you said before, it wasn't just white people that ran around the world. It's not just white people that run around the world. They've got friends. These people aren't. See, the people in charge of the world. That's what a lot of people go, you conspiracy theorists. What you don't think that there's people in positions of power that you don't know about that are up to shit. See, it's easy to know that's happening. Why? Because it's always been happening. Through time immemorial. Which bit don't you fucking get? There's people in power that want to dominate shit. This is part of human. That happens in families.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I know it well.
Yeah. So don't think it doesn't happen on a global scale. Everything in the universe is a mirror of everything else. It's a macrocosm and a microcosm. It's happening. Of course it's fucking happening. But they don't want to listen. Oh, who runs all the banks? Well, the Rothschilds. Who are they? Well, they're Jewish. Do Jews run the world? No, banks run the world. Do Jews run it? No. But didn't you say the most powerful family in the world is Jewish? Yeah, but you can't say they run it. But didn't you say they are? Yeah, shut up. See, and it's all connected to, and it's not just them, is it? It's banking systems, it's big corporations, it's governments, it's centralized banks, it's pharmaceutical industries, it's fucking education, it's military industrial complexes, it's shadow governments, CIAs, FBIs, national security associations, all these things, they're all fucking, there's power things going on around the world. And see, some of these people have got 100-year plans. Just because you don't know what you're doing next Sunday, right, doesn't mean that there isn't people in the world that have 100-year plans. Now, do these 100-year plans always pan out the way they wanted? No, but they adjust. Because that's what you do whenever you've got a plan and it doesn't quite go to fucking plan. When I first went to Europe to do comedy, I wanted to go to England. I got there, I had 2 phone numbers, didn't really work. To get an open spot would take 3 months because there were so many comedians, but I knew some guys in Ireland, so I went to Ireland. I went, well, it's best I stay in Ireland for a year. I can live with me mates from Primordial in Dublin. There's some gigs walkable down the street. I can just ring up, they can come down to Kilkenny, come up to Galway, right? This is easier. I can operate here. So I had a plan, but I adjusted it when I got over there and realised my initial plan was not working. So I went, right, well, now I'll go over here. And then what happened? Well, I met Glenn Wool and he goes, I've got a spare room, South London, want to live there? Yep, bang, back on plan. So if you're under some illusion that there isn't plans going on in the world to do shit, then you're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot, and you should wake up, you sheep, eating your GMOs and watching your mainstream media and thinking the news is still... Who owns the news? About 4 people. And you don't think there's an agenda? Every day in the news, Donald Trump did this, Donald Trump eats apple, Nazi, Donald Trump puts on trousers, Nazi, Donald Trump does it. Oh, God, Jesus Christ. Hillary Clinton releases 10,000 fucking emails that undermine national security. Oh, don't worry about it. Would have been better if she got in because she's a woman, and I think a woman should have a go. But didn't she just get busted putting emails out which undermine national security that the FBI were going to arrest her for and all that? Yeah, but...
No, I think they were just naked pictures of Ellen DeGeneres.
Gotta give the girls a go, Steve. What is it? Gotta have a go. I think it would just be good if the lady had a go.
I read that the Chinese...
Fucking morons.
I read that the Chinese are...
I'm getting angry now.
The Chinese have developed, they've already developed this digital background check, like, when people run your personal history and, if your credit score, basically, it's your credit score as a human being, a digital fingerprint that'll like label you how you are politically, if you're a troublemaker, if you're not, if you're a person who pays your bills or not, if you're a good citizen or not.
What? And who told you this?
Branded. I read that the Chinese have developed this. So you're digitally branded, if you will.
And what? Do you know where you read this?
I think it was Wired.
Right. So someone's now got this going. Look what the Chinese are doing, as if they aren't. Was this an American magazine going, look what the Chinese are doing? What, you telling me America's not doing this? You telling me Europe's not doing this?
Yeah, totally. And also in Wired, I read about how the Russians are, they're using Ukraine and practicing. There's this computer virus called the Sandworm, and they'll send it to all these people and companies, and it just takes one schmuck to open up an attachment. And all these masking ways of trying to make something look like an in-house email from a coworker or from, you know, whoever, the gym down the street, 50% discount, whatever. And this virus gets into the computer system, and it's called a sandworm because it'll get into the system, but they won't do anything until like a year later. And they did it with like the Ukrainian electric company with their voting, some kind of shit, so that they've been practicing on Ukraine that they're going to do it.
They're a laboratory. It's what Australia's like. Australia's like a laboratory for the New World Order. Some backward country that's out of the way where all the white people have never had any oppression, so that they'll just act like Pavlovian dogs. These are my little theories anyway, folks. Yeah. I can't prove them.
Do your conspiracy theories bring you happiness in a way? Getting into that shit?
Yeah, because because I think we're living in a very interesting time where we're under what I would call a silent weapon for quiet wars, which is not a name I made up, where I think we're getting attacked on multi-dimensional levels all at once in different ways, which is so confusing and complex that it's difficult to keep up. And I'd rather know than just be an ignorant sheep running around, staring at my iPhone, drinking Starbucks, thinking everything's going fantastic. Because either way, if this shit comes down, you're in trouble. As a guy I read years ago when people used to go, well, I don't even believe in this stuff. Because he used to talk about, because, you know, there's different power groups in the world that have ideas about biblical prophecies, Armageddon, stuff like this, stuff that's put in religious texts. And people would go, yeah, but I don't even believe in that. And you go, well, that's very well and fine. You don't have to believe in it. But I'm just telling you, there's people in the world with far much more money and tons of power that do believe in it. And if they put their power and their money into their beliefs, your lives will be affected. So you don't have to believe in it.
Yeah.
But there's people who do believe in it, who have got much more access to try and pull it off than you've ever fucking dreamed of. So run around like an ignorant cunt. See if I care. Watch Game of Thrones every day and drink Starbucks and feed your kids McDonald's.
Winter is coming.
You know, I love people that go, do you trust the government? Nah. Do you think they should mandatorily vaccinate your kids? Oh, of course. Of course. So you trust the same people that start illegal wars, are involved in illegal banking systems, run around, you know, different countries dropping white phosphorus, depleted uranium, testing weapons on countries that didn't attack them, these same government bodies. You trust those people to get up to this kind of psychopathic, genocidal behaviour. You trust them to inject your kids with vaccines. Yeah. Of course.
We haven't had polio in a while.
Oh, okay. Well, just stick it in your kids then. Stick it in. I mean, you trust them. Because you can tell they're trustworthy people. You can tell by their actions.
What did Rush Limbaugh think was the right answer?
I don't know. I hated Rush Limbaugh my whole life. I read his book in the 90s. I didn't like him at all. Who is this lunatic? I've been a lefty my whole life. Yeah. Rush Limbaugh, he's a lunatic when I read him. I don't know. But I was quite ahead of my time. No one in Australia heard of Rush Limbaugh or Camille Paglia. I was reading Rush Limbaugh and Camille Paglia. Now I'm on Rush Limbaugh and Camille Paglia's side.
Are you?
Nah, not Rush, not totally. Well, it's like...
You can be the right-wing comedian now.
No, but as I've gotten older...
You're going to start doing state fairs in the United States.
As I've gotten older, I realise that, you know, what are you picking...
Classic conventions.
What are you picking sides for completely? You can get information that you agree with from people who other parts of what they think you don't agree with.
Yeah, I don't fully believe
it's completely possible,
I don't fully agree with anybody.
I could sit around with all night and find out Rush Limbaugh is actually a maniac, lunatic, white supremacist, but his views on political correctness I agree with.
Yeah.
Now, am I going to go, well, I can't agree with anything he says. Well, I agree with him on that, but he is a white supremacist lunatic. So, you know, I don't want to hang out.
Yeah.
But I agree with him when he says that.